Did you know that Halloween wasn't always about costumes, candy, and spooky decorations? The holiday we celebrate today has ancient roots dating back over 2,000 years. Let's dive into the fascinating history of Halloween, exploring how it began, how it developed, and how it became the fun, fright-filled celebration we know today. Halloween's origins trace back to the ancient Celtic festival called Samhain, pronounced Samhain, celebrated on October 31st. The Celts lived in what is now Ireland, the UK, and northern France, and they believed that on this night, the boundary between the living and the dead blurred. The festival of Samhain marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, often associated with death. Celts believed that on the night of October 31st, ghosts of the dead returned to Earth, causing trouble and damaging crops. To ward off these spirits, people would light huge bonfires and wear costumes, usually made of animal skins, to scare away any ghosts or evil spirits. During Samhain, priests called druids made sacrifices by burning crops and animals to honor their gods. They also believed that the spirits brought messages from the afterlife. So fortune-telling and predictions about the future became a big part of the celebration. As the Romans conquered Celtic lands around 43 AD, they combined their own festivals with Samhain. The Romans already had a festival called Feralia, where they honored the passing of the dead. This easily blended with Samhain's focus on spirits and the dead. Another Roman festival was dedicated to Pomona, the goddess of fruit and trees. Her symbol was the apple, and some historians believe that the tradition of bobbing for apples on Halloween came from this Roman influence. Now let's talk about another famous Halloween tradition, pumpkin carving. The practice of carving pumpkins, or jack-o'-lanterns, is rooted in Irish folklore. Originally, the Irish carved turnips to create lanterns with scary faces to ward off evil spirits. The legend of Stingy Jack tells of a man who tricked the devil and was doomed to wander the earth with only a carved-out turnip to light his way. When Irish immigrants arrived in America, they found pumpkins were much easier to carve than turnips, and the tradition evolved from there. Today, the jack-o'-lantern is a symbol of Halloween, and millions of pumpkins are carved every year, continuing this spooky custom. By the 9th century, as Christianity spread across Europe, the church wanted to replace the pagan festivals with Christian ones. In 1000 AD, the church established November 1st as All Saints' Day to honor saints and martyrs. This was an attempt to overshadow Samhain with a church-sanctioned holiday. The night before, October 31st, was called All Hallows' Eve, eventually becoming Halloween. Later, the church added All Souls' Day on November 2nd to honor all the dead. Like Samhain, this day was marked by bonfires, parades, and dressing up in costumes, but now people dressed as angels, saints, and other supernatural figures. Halloween wasn't widely celebrated in early America because of the strict religious beliefs of the Puritans, especially in New England. However, it became more popular in the southern colonies and among Irish immigrants who brought their traditions with them during the 19th century, particularly during the potato famine of the 1840s. In early American Halloween celebrations, young people played pranks and caused mischief, which eventually became known as Mischief Night. They'd tip over outhouses or scare people with ghost stories. As time passed, Halloween became less about ghosts and more about community. By the late 1800s, towns organized Halloween parties, where both children and adults would dress up in costumes. These gatherings included games like bobbing for apples, fortune-telling, and dancing. The Halloween tradition we're most familiar with today, trick-or-treating, actually started in the early 20th century. One of the earliest forms of trick-or-treating came from a tradition called souling, where poor people would go door-to-door offering prayers for the dead in exchange for soul cakes, a kind of pastry. Over time, this transformed into kids going door-to-door asking for treats instead of prayers. In the 1920s and 1930s, the mischief part of Halloween took over, and many communities saw a rise in vandalism and pranks. To combat this, adults encouraged children to participate in organized trick-or-treating, offering candy in exchange for a promise of good behavior. Thus, the treat part of Halloween was born. Today, Halloween is celebrated in many countries around the world, but it has taken on new meanings and traditions in different cultures. In the United States, Halloween is the second largest commercial holiday after Christmas. Americans spend billions on costumes, candy, decorations, and haunted attractions. Children, and sometimes adults, dress up as anything from superheroes to ghosts, and they go door to door in neighborhoods collecting candy. Haunted houses, spooky corn mazes, and horror movie marathons have have become popular ways to celebrate. These attractions are designed to give people a safe scare, tapping into Halloween's roots of warding off evil spirits. In Mexico, Halloween is often linked to Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, a celebration of deceased loved ones. While it's technically a different holiday, both share themes of honoring the dead and have similar imagery, such as skeletons and skulls. From ancient Celtic rituals to modern-day candy-filled celebrations, Halloween has a long and rich history. What started as a night to ward off ghosts has become a festive occasion that mixes the spooky with the sweet. Whether you're carving pumpkins, dressing up in costumes, or watching horror movies, Halloween is a reminder of how traditions evolve while keeping their core meaning alive, celebrating the mystery and magic of life and death. So, what's your favorite part of Halloween? The costumes, the candy, or the thrill of a good scare? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing history stories like this one.